One. So, Patrick, are you ready to wrap up Acumatica Demo Day?
More than ready.
All right, I will let you take it away.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it as always, Amy. First of all, thank you to everybody who's still in attendance. I know it can be a long day, so glad to see quite a large number of names there still in attendance. So, with all that said, my name is Patrick Fuzzarini. I'm a solution consultant at k-ecommerce. We've been in business for over 25 years now, providing business-to-business e-commerce platforms to all sorts of organizations from distribution, manufacturing, wholesale, retail, you name it. So today is going to be primarily a demo focused around some of the functionality that we offer, obviously in the time that we have here, about 15 minutes. And with that, I'll be talking about the business-to-business aspects of the system, as well as that integration, of course, to Acumatica. So with that said, we can take it away. Now you'll see here I have on my demo environment uh, an online store. Looks like pretty much any store that we might visit ourselves. But this store is specifically created so that it's primarily business to business focused, meaning that there's a number of pieces of functionality that will only be available to businesses. Things like, as we'll get into it, quick order entry tools and customer specific pricing and all the rest. But as we visit it, you'll notice that I do have the ability to actually add things to my cart, even though I haven't signed in as a user. So the system not only offers the ability to um, be a business to business e-commerce platform, but it can also double up as a business to consumer platform, really covering all your bases in terms of who you might want to sell to. And so in this example, you can see that we have certain items listed with a certain price and the ability to purchase, even though we don't know who this individual shopping is. Um, Now, as soon as I sign in here, you may see a number of things that would change or stay the same depending on the use case. And this is where we start to see that difference. Because based on the login and the customer information, we're able to show different pieces of data to that individual. So for example, if when I sign in here in a minute, in this example, it's not going to be the case, but generally speaking, customers can have access to buy different products. So that means if you have a certain customer who maybe has access to buy these headphones, as well as some branded merchandise or some computer parts, for example, they'll be able to see everything listed and purchase. But maybe for some reason you've got some restrictions or some rules set in play that you have a different customer who should not be able to buy computer parts. They can only buy, let's say, audio components from you. And in that context, when that customer logs in, they won't even be able to see or search for those computer parts because they won't be available in their experience. So it's a catered experience from customer to customer. Now, once I sign in here, we'll be greeted with the typical returning customer and password options where they can sign in. New customers can register on the fly if they so choose, and if you give them access to do this. And similarly, let's say, you might have, this is a question that comes up often enough. There are a lot of customers in your system today in Acumatica that you might want to give access to the system. Everything holds. It's just a question of inviting them to the online store. So they'll be able to see all their historic data, all their information. It's using the existing account information within the system. So once I sign in here as a returning customer, this is where we start to see that level of personal detail. So first and foremost, we get a dashboard. We get to see the latest orders on my account, as well as some frequently ordered products. Now, these items are items specifically for my experience, meaning that they're items that I have purchased in the past or that I have purchased frequently, and therefore they're listed to me. So everyone will have a different options here. So that way, we can very easily add items to the cart in a couple of clicks without necessarily having to do a full search to get those items in play, right? I don't have to go into my categories and search for that previous item. It's right here as soon as I log in. And we also get to see the latest orders, as I mentioned already. Now here, the status, you may notice some of these are pending, some of them are shipped, as you can see here. And this is all dependent on what is going on in Acumatica. So the system is being fully integrated, is always verifying to make sure that the order information is up to date and accurate, so that when something is shipped, we'll see that order information and can click into maybe packing slip info if there is any. So, tracking numbers and things of this nature. And we can also just review the order as a whole. Now, we often get returning customers, especially in B2B, who are the types of users who like to order the same thing all the time. And so very quickly, they can go into their past order and order again just by clicking a single button. Now, this will essentially recreate that shopping cart with today's values. So we get today's price, of course, and the quantity if they are available. It'll say that if there's a back order needed, like in this case, that'll be displayed. So all that to say, reordering with the system is something that is extremely important and easily doable within the platform. Outside of this, if I go back to my order tracking information, I showed you the last 5 orders that were placed on the customer's behalf, and we go much deeper than that. In fact, we can go pretty much as far back into the accounting history in Acumatica as needed for this customer. So you'll see here when I do a search, all of the results will show. And then, from there we can jump into anything as we previously did. But the idea is that it's a full look into the accounting history so that we don't have to, go through emails or call in or do anything of that nature to see what's going on with our orders or invoices. Now, we talked about ordering off of past orders, but naturally, from time to time, we're going to want to buy new goods. And so with that, your classic e-commerce capabilities are most definitely possible. Things like filtering of attributes on those items, which can come from Acumatica, meaning that these will integrate through. And the general idea is that we have a lot less manual data to enter into the system to run an online store, because all that data already exists in Acumatica, and we can pull them over in the system. So we see these items, we can add them to cart, but if I click on that good, we'll see that this one's already in the shopping cart, so we might want to change our quantity. Key pieces of data like, the title that we see here, product code, pricing, availability, and so on. These fields are all syncing from the ERP so that they are always up to date and accurate. But there's a lot of extra data that you might find here. Maybe there are images that we don't keep in Acumatica. Maybe there are long descriptions that you might see here, or additional features and specs that you want to include in the system. All of this extra data can be uploaded directly through the k-ecommerce system so that they are designed that they sit there instead of having to sit in Acumatica. A good use case of this would be if we have, a marketing team who is running the online store but doesn't necessarily need to be in Acumatica to make product-related changes. We've given them a tool that lets them do that without having to, go into a giant system like an ERP and make the changes there. They can stay relevant to what's needed for them. So all this to say, we can add items to the cart, we can change the quantity, and really carry on in that way. You'll notice that the shopping cart down the right-hand side is available with all that info. The system is also, I'll take a quick side note, is also fully not just responsive, but it's been designed with a mobile-first approach. So you can notice that the shopping cart has been verticalized, and there are other options that really shine through on a mobile device. So if ever we were to change the viewing, I won't do it here today, but the experience is pretty seamless and feels very much like an application, even though it's through a web browser, which is arguably today's expectation in the world of e-commerce. Do a quick time check here. Great. Now, before I carry on and finish up, we talked about ordering off of, searching for items, which of course you can do any keyword search. We talked about ordering items off of previous orders, but there's a particular tool that I want to show here today, and it's called the Quick Order Entry tool. Really what this order tool is a part number quantity order entry sheet. Again, specific to the business space, it's very common that I might want to order 10, 20, 30 line items at a time. And that can be long if I'm going into my category, finding the item, filtering through, and then adding to cart. I know the item, I need to check it out. So if I do, I can enter the code of that item and it'll just show up in the cart. No need to leave this page. If I don't know the item, I can input it either through a barcode scanner, which is often used, or I can open up a search panel here, enter a search term, let's say bows, and see the results appear on my screen, at which point I can add one of these to the cart, as we see. And then we continue on. So it's very fluid and very quick to build a shopping cart through this type of system. Of course, at any point in time, we can open up product information down the right-hand side here and see those details so that once again, I don't have to leave this page while I'm, adding items to my cart. But most importantly, at least for me, the real strength of this tool is when we have a spreadsheet that we might keep on the side, something that might look like this. And historically, maybe I would have to email this off to a sales rep and have them fill it into Acumatica directly. But through this type of tool, what's very easy is that all I do is take the column and quantity cells that you see here. So all I need is the code and the quantity, and then I can copy those cells and paste them into my system. And within a couple of seconds, you'll see all those items were added to the cart. And naturally, there's a few errors since I have an ongoing cart already. But this is good because it shows that everything there are checks and balances. We can see that certain items are already in the cart, so not to double up, I'm notified and can remove those items. And similarly, if there's something that needs to be changed on the item, for example, this particular one didn't have any quantity input, I can go ahead and add that so that everything is clear once again. And once that's all good and ready, I'll proceed to checkout and go through the checkout phase. Now, I won't jump into the detail here just for today's session, but naturally all the billing and shipping information is all listed out. Shipping addresses can be added on the fly and calculations can be done in a number of ways, which we can get into another day. But we see the order, we see what's available to be shipped, and then we can check out. In terms of taxes, of course, we integrate to Avalara, as that's a huge player in this space. So tax calculations are always correct as well. And the last piece I'll talk about here before finalizing this order and seeing it in Acumatica is this. Payment information, just like pricing, just like product information, payment information can be on a per customer basis. So if you have certain customers that are on account, and you have other customers that should only be paying by credit card or even by ACH, which is also accepted, we can really be specific in terms of who gets what and who pays appropriately. So depending on their use case, the right payment terms can be used where naturally they can pay by credit card or ACH, as I said. Now, checking out here brings me to an important step, which a lot happens in the background. Doesn't look like much, but in the background, there's a few different things going on. The first one is that this order is being created within the next few seconds. There's a web order number W55. So within Acumatica, that order will exist. Secondly, an email is sent out to the customer, of course, thanking them for placing their order and giving them some detail. And finally, emails can be sent out internally to the internal team, essentially letting them know that a new order came into the system and they can go check out Acumatica to see further detail. And just to double up on that point, Excel versions of the order can be sent as well for other purposes if it makes it easier for viewing. So the email can have an attachment, which would be that order. And you see here that the order number from Acumatica now exists, 6594. So going into Acumatica, hopefully I'm still logged in, and opening up my sales orders. You'll see here 6594 is listed next in line. We have the date, we have all the information. And to wrap this up pretty cleanly, I'll just say that we're not adding new fields, tables, or anything into Acumatica. It uses all of the standard information that's available. So it's trying to be as vanilla as possible on the back end. That's not to say we can't integrate to custom fields. That is totally possible. But as a basis, we've standardized the system. So you see that order come through with all of its relevant data in a standard implementation of Acumatica. With that said, I think that's time. So I'll pass it back to you, Amy, to wrap us up.